happening live in Europe. UEFA Euros 2024 live in Germany. The finals is going to happen and it's been determined and it's been final and no one can do anything about it. England, Spain, the giants of Europe are actually combining to finals. And what we are bringing you today is not the pre-match of that game, but then what happened and the happening of the last time between Netherlands and England and also France, Spain. What actually transpired. But then the detailing, the confusion, the excitement, America. Who says no? The finals has also been determined right now. And who says Uruguay could have get out of this competition? Hey, it did bust my mind. If you talk of Uruguay, talk of the game against Canada, Argentina, the controversy that it brings in, the goal and everything. Some people are saying, hey, the goal is for Lionel Messi. Others are saying, no, they will give it to Enzo Fernandez. Yeah, Enzo Fernandez. If you just join us and you are new, remember to subscribe and be part of this amazing community. Hey, your opinions are always welcome. With me, Emmanuel, Sami, and Eddie, and you all know what it is. There's more room for improvement. Sami, to start with you, the game between France and Spain. A lot of people thought France were just going to nail it down, but it was a bit tactical. What's your thought on that game?
Well, yeah, before I start anything, I would just like to say more room for improvement. So, yeah.
More room for improvement.
Yeah, so concerning that game, I think personally, I knew that Spain will walk over France, but it's going to be a difficult game as we predicted earlier. Looking at the tactics from both sides, we realized that the midfield of Spain was no match to France. Therefore, having the likes of Rodrigo. And one thing that you should know is that the midfield of Spain so far has been the engine for the national team, having to play such a wonderful game and no other than my boy Lamine Yamal coming to the show. So the game was very intense, but at the end of the day, we saw how the Spanish are always good when it comes to football. They follow the tactics of the coach and they do it to perfection. So yes, that's the intro I can give for that game.
Ima,
Yeah, I think De La Fuente got his tactics right. Introducing Lamine Yamal, Nico Williams, Danny Olmo. Like attacking threats in terms of attack. These guys can give you the numbers. So I wasn't that surprised when they came from a goal down to score 2-1. I think they are just playing the best of football in the tournament, and I'm hoping they will just win the Euros and maybe build a team that will compete for the World Cup in the coming years because they have a very good team. And kudos to Rodri and the guys. They've played a very good football this tournament.
Eddie, you were saying France hands down, and at the end of the day, how are you feeling about the game?
All right, I feel a bit disappointed in the France team. Throughout this tournament, they've had the solid defense in the tournament. So playing against Spain, when we are talking of players to players, France were solid, in that aspect. So probably I was thinking probably the game will be, France will probably walk over Spain in that aspect, probably to reduce the number of goals conceded. But things being said and done, the top squad of Spain, probably they want the name for themselves. They are now probably picking up. So they play what, they stay calm, then they overshadowed France. So that's what we saw.
Ima, Kylian Mbappe, the quality he possesses, producing an assist. But throughout the entire tournament, we've not seen him scoring a goal. And against Spain, it was like France didn't even have attack. What's your thought on that attack, or the sham that we should be blaming for France?
No, I think Kylian Mbappe didn't get the best of performances in this Euros. Like Kylian Mbappe used to know when he takes the ball and he's pushing defenders, we know that it's either he's getting a corner kick or he's putting the ball at the back of the net. But looking at his performance this Euros, mine oh mine, I think it was awful. I don't know whether the injury also affected his play but generally from the beginning of the tournament till the time they got knocked out, his performance wasn't the best. I don't know, maybe it's just fatigue from last season and the players are playing so many matches of late. So maybe it's fatigue or something.
But will you also suggest that because of the switch from PSG to Real Madrid, that actually he didn't want to put in much so that the beginning of the season will actually worry him.
Yeah, I think there's pressure on him too with the news and everything concerning his transfer. There's so much expectation from him. What is he going to add to the Real Madrid team? So people were trying to like watch him at the Euros and see his potential and what he could add to the Real Madrid team. But it's Kylian Mbappe. He can go off today and come back tomorrow. So let's wait and see. It's just a bad campaign for him in this Euros.
Okay. Sammy, you mentioned Lamine Yamal. Actually, we all know the goal he scored was actually astonishing. And we all know the kind of beauty he got inside him. And talking about his goal, I want you to blend it with Danny Olmo because we all know the winning goal, the kind of like style in which the goal was scored was absolutely, even though they didn't give it to him at first, but later during the game it was given back to him. What do you make up of that?
I think looking at the both goals scored by Danny Olmo and Lamine, they were both wonderful. For me, I think so far Lamine's goal will be the goal of the tournament. That's personally. But then before the goal, we also what Rabio talked about Lamine. It was more or less like pushing him on. So there was more to the goal. There was more or less like I want to prove myself. I want to show you that I know how to do it, and I've done it before. And looking at last year or last 2 years, he did the same thing at the under 17 World Cup against France. He did it and he repeated it himself again. This shows how brilliant this young star is. He's still 16 years. I think on Saturday he'll be 17. Now looking at Danny almost to a player to have that confidence, that composure to dribble past Chouameni and put the ball in the net, I think it was beautiful. And yeah, they wanted to they wanted to make the goal that of
On goal, yeah.
Kunde's. Yeah, but at the end of the day, when they started, when they realized that it was already getting into the net, with or without the help of Kunde, so they had to reverse it and give to Olmo. Right now, Olmo has 3 goals, and I'm hoping that in the next game against England, he'll get another goal to win the goal king of the tournament.
Well, note on that game before we move to England.
Yeah.
Because Eddie is quite busy. Lamine Yamal, 16 years, young star to feature in or maybe at that age to feature in Europe, or maybe first under 16-year-old to play European competition. First young star to score a goal in that competition, and first young star to determine to get the best player of the tournament. Do you think he will get that?
Yeah, for me, he's in the competition. He's contending for that title as also too. The thing is, for me personally, the guy has surprised me. Coming from Barcelona, I wasn't expecting much from him this years, but he's proving like to be a top talent. He's just showing glimpses of what's to come in, like what we should expect in the future. The guy has potential. When he takes the ball, you can see like a bit of Lionel Messi in the way he shoots, the way he dribble past defenders. The guy is, if he's being coached properly, he can be a great asset to Barcelona. I think they should just give it to him. He's a fine player. For me, he has impressed me. And that record, I think he will hold it for a very long time. 16 years. Well, it will take maybe some years for another kid to break that record. But
England, Netherlands. A lot of people going into that game thought Netherlands could have just get that win over there. And there was a controversial penalty as well. And even up to date, there's still an argument about that penalty. Sammy, your take on that game?
Well, personally, I was supporting Netherlands, but then at the end of the day, England were able to qualify. Yeah, so Netherlands had their first goal early with Xavi Simons, a very brilliant goal. Then it was then scored by a controversial penalty given to Harry Kane. Well, when it gets to that kind of penalty, that's why I always say that every time UEFA keeps changing their own rules regarding different competitions, it becomes very, very difficult. A referee could have ignored it, which was fine. And another referee too could have taken it, which also was fine. And at the end of the day, we saw that the referee took the penalty. He played the ball, but after the ball, there was a contact with him inside the 18-year-old ball, inside the box. So if that is happening, definitely it has caused a penalty per the rule. If there was a touch, if there was an obstruction, if there was something that can end up being hurtful to an opponent. And we saw that Dumfries raised his boots, showing the under of his stocks towards Hurricane. Hurricane's boot was flat. So therefore, one, the idea of Dumfries was wrong. Two, there was an impact. So based on these things, I think that is why he gave the penalty. And also the last goal too was brilliant. Having a substitute come just with two touches, two magical touches from no other person than Chelsea's favorite player to a striker of his level. I think yeah, I
Cole
think
Palmer and Watkins.
it was a good yeah. Watkins placed the ball towards his right hand side and pushed for a first touch. I think it was very good. So unfortunately, yeah, the game ended in the favor of England, but that's what happened.
I wanted to actually go to the penalty later, but you've already explained everything. So, Ima,
Yeah.
your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the general play from the English team was good. I think this is the best of performances I've seen in the Euros.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
second.
the way they operated on the rings, the way they bossed the midfield, and with the three back system, I think Gareth Southgate is getting something right with the three back system. But let's hope and see. For me, I think there are a lot of controversies surrounding the game. With the penalty incident, there were some corner kicks. The referee awarded goal kicks to the English side. It's a whole lot. Personally, maybe I'll just rate the referee maybe a 65 out of 100. Yeah, 65 over
More,
100.
more.
Yeah,
65
yeah.
is
He
still
could
is
have done
still
better
is
with some
still
of
a
the
pass
decisions.
mark.
Yes, and some of the unnecessary cards he showed to the players, he could have done better.
More.
Sometimes these type of decisions just changes the whole complexion of the game. So if you award a penalty like that, then now the Dutch will feel like whatever tackle they go for will be a foul. So they'll just hold back, and it will just take that excitement from the game. For me, I think it was a good game, but there are a lot of controversies surrounding the game, and we have to blame the referee, Felix Zoya, for all the controversies.
We've been complaining about Southgate, Gareth Southgate substitution and the manner in which he's taking the team. But yesterday, it's like he got completely right because he changed his substitution. Usually, the way he does it, yesterday was actually different ball game because Watkins was his first play, and I think everyone is excited and everyone is happy for him, and they realize the importance of his being in that managerial thought. What's your thought on that changes and those two who came on to change that game?
Changes Southgate made, I think, gave them the win they deserve. Throughout this tournament, we've seen his changes have been very, very poor. But the one he made that was yesterday, bringing Watkins in, I think, was a good one. So I think what probably we are looking for is that on the final day, that's on Sunday in Berlin, he is also going to make a good substitution. That's probably give them the ring they are looking for because they've been saying it's coming home, it's coming home. So I think on Sunday they might lift the Euros.
England, that's last 4 years.
Last
It
4 years
was
against
the cup was
Italy,
coming
yeah,
home.
they said the state was
And
coming
this
home.
year, they are saying it's coming home. So we are not new to it's coming home. But clearly, the difference between Netherlands and England is the quality that England possess. Because Netherlands coach tried to change something in the game, but then it didn't actually work because he has to reshuffle his players to different positioning. But then it wasn't actually work. But when Gareth Southgate made that unique changes, actually just worked perfectly for him. And hey, Copa America happening in US and US is out of the competition and now the demarcation have shown that the finals is going to happen or is going to happen between Colombia and also Argentina. Well, we are not going to dwell on the finals, but what in the game yesterday between Colombia and Uruguay will bust your mind because at the end of the day, players were in the stand fighting supporters. And hey, we will talk more onto that. So, Sami, what's your take on that game as well?
The Colombia Uruguay.
Yeah, Colombia, Uruguay.
I think it was a very beautiful game looking at the way both teams were playing. In fact, for the first time in the first half, that was the only time I saw that there was some passes going through. They actually played a very nice football. They kept the ball on the ground. There was some counter attacking. Uruguay had a lot of chances, but it was all squandered by no other person than Nunes. But then we saw that a red card came in where this Colombian player elbowed which was really bad. Then Colombian went to 10 to 11 players, so they were one player short. But then we saw that Uruguay, Uruguay could not penetrate their defense, and so yes, definitely Colombia qualified. But then one incident that happened that we should look at is the fight that happened. It was quite interesting to see. Oh, every time this has been happening most of the times in Copa America, where you see fans trying to fight each other in the stadium. So I think after what happened today, I think this time they would employ a lot of stewards to prevent that, because we saw the families of these various players, and at the end of the day, we saw that we all saw a spectacle that we don't see in this modern football. Nunes going to protect his family, Valverde going to take his wife and his kids away from the stand. We saw it was terrible. It was really terrible. So I'm hoping that after this, we will not see that to happen again.
Ima.
Yeah, I think it's just shameful that we've not been discussing the game itself and we are just discussing what is surrounding the game. Fans attacking families of the players and other stuff, fighting each other. It's just not right. I think CONMEBOL and the security agencies should just do things right in the coming years. You can't just host a tournament and allow the families of players to be attacked in a
Yeah.
way. Definitely, they are humans. They also try to fight back. So I don't blame them. And I'll be very surprised if they try to give some of the players a fine or a ban or something. I'll be very surprised, because sometimes you have to also understand that the players are also humans. The moment you do something to their families, they also react. I wasn't surprised that Nunes and the other guys were trying to save their families, and it ended in a fight with the supporters. In the Copa America, there's so many things surrounding it. I think it's high time they have to sit down and do things properly. And they have the best of national teams, so they have to just sit up and organize their competition very well.
Argentina, Canada.
So when it comes to that game, I think it was a brilliant game. We saw that they had met early in the group stages, where Argentina scored Canada 2-0, and the same thing repeated itself again. This time I saw Canada trying to fight to try and maintain, especially close Messi, but at the end of the day, it did not happen. Messi had his first goal of the tournament, and it also brought about a lot of controversy. But the funny thing about Messi's goal is Enzo was even happy that Messi scored that goal. I
Exactly.
think the ball was getting into the side where the keeper was going to make a save, and Messi touched the ball, and Messi scored a goal. But the fans of Ronaldo will try to bring anything to make Messi seem less. But at the end of the day, everybody was happy. Messi was happy. Enzo was happy. Argentina was happy. But one thing I want us to talk about is Di Maria. Di Maria, at the end of the day, was really, really sad. He was emotional because that was his last but one game to bring his career to a close when it comes to the national side. So Messi spoke about the team fighting for Di Maria, and we all saw it on the field. And I'm hoping that, of course, with Messi and Di Maria and with the Argentines, they will lift the trophy again.
Ima, do you have something to add before we move to?
Yeah, I think we're not expecting anything different than Argentina being in the final. So it's just a typical Messi Argentina performance, and we just hope to see a very beautiful final on Sunday against Colombia. Let's wait and see. James Rodriguez too is having a fantastic tournament. Let's see how it goes. For Argentina, they have upper hand over Colombia. So on Sunday, we will watch a very great game.
Are very, very lucrative. And let's see what is going to be happening. And if you just join us and you are new, remember to hit the subscription button, like and share the video. And we are going to see you in the next video. Ciao.